Ready to start the transportation and capital improvement committee meeting. I'm gonna ask everyone to mute themselves. The way I'm gonna ask you to mute you. Um, George.
Oh, George is on.
Ursula,
Urs-
listen, this will be like the third or fourth time I've set up this meeting for them.
Okay.
I, I'm not. If they don't come tonight, I'm not doing it anymore.
Okay. That's no problem. We have no, because they're what they're asking for is it's not really gonna benefit anyone around here. So
All right, no
'cause
problem.
all the streets are being used to cut across to avoid Baychester. That's the big thing.
I know. All right.
All right. Norbert, you requested that you want to start with a prayer, so we could open the meeting with a prayer.
Or can kneel over your Lord, my shepherd, I shall not want to make each and every one of us to lie the past of that. We come before you once more to give you praise and glory and honor. First, Lord, to wake us up. And also, you send some of us to work and bring us back safely, provide food and our table and shelter. We pray for every member and those who will be at the night. We pray for every corner in their home, in the office, wherever they are this time. And this time, we also put before this time our sick district manager, George Torres. We pray wherever he is home that you will send an angel to protect and to guide his family. Also, and also send an angel to protect and to guide Sister Ursula. She sit in that position for him. We pray for everyone, Mr. Chairman and Miss Chairperson. We pray that it can be a very successful one. And when we finish that, dear Lord, will be say, to God be the glory, great things he has done. So bless us and keep us safe. In Jesus' name I pray thanksgiving. Amen and amen.
Thanks for the prayers, Norbert. We're supposed to have. Is there anyone from Doria Avenue that's here again? No one from Doria Avenue. Okay, so there was a from since the last meeting there was a walkthrough that was done with or set up by Councilman Kevin Riley. Clinton,
Okay, I'm here now. Clinton was at choir rehearsal.
yeah.
I'm
So
here.
we're gonna. I'm sorry. So could you give us a quick update on you could probably just read what it is you wrote
Okay.
earlier.
You did get it, right?
Yes, I did.
I'll read it. Hold
Yes,
on.
I did.
Hold on. Let me get it. Just continue. I'll be with you in a minute.
Okay. So one of the things we're going to talk about, we had some goals set up for 2023, and one of the goals were the safety of Gun Hill Road and make it more pedestrian friendly. We're going one of the intersections we want to look at is probably the intersection of Boston Road and Gun Hill. Um, so the weather is nice, and I'm gonna try to set up like some time where the committee members and if anyone from the committee wanted to join us, that we could go out and we could walk and actually see how pedestrian friendly our neighborhood is. And we're gonna see the good and the bad, and talk about the changes that could possibly happen. Um, Clinton, you ready?
Okay. So you can hear me? Can anybody hear me? I'm in the car.
We could hear you.
Okay. So let me turn my camera on. On March 29th, I believe it was, we did a walkthrough through the community with the DOT commissioner, Edonis Rodriguez, council member Kevin Riley, and the chair of the city council transportation committee, and her name is Sylvina Brooks Powers. She's from Queens. So we met about Duryea Avenue. Duryea Avenue is looking for a one-way conversion, as opposed to the current two-way street that they have there due to truck traffic taking shortcuts through the block. The truck traffic previously caused overhead electrical wires to be torn down on the block as well. Duryea was selected as it is a city border street. A number of streets at that border New York City have unique issues where exploits of the nearby Mount Vernon bleed in.
Clinton, you froze. Well, we lost. I think we lost Clinton for a minute.
Tillotson, we met with some of the residents that were requesting sidewalks on Tillotson Avenue. The residents' chief complaint is that their children are forced to walk through the street to get to schools and such. The school closest to them, I think, is probably the Cornerstone Academy, which is on Steenwick.
Okay.
Installing sidewalks would hopefully deter some of the dumping in that area. A lot of dumping in that area right along 95, and allow for more street lighting in the area, thus making it safer for the residents. Tillotson was selected as with consultation from the Land Use Division, City Council's Land Use Division, that there may be a need to demap a portion of the street as the current situation there is particularly troublesome. So that was number 2 issue.
Mike, one question: is that the school by off of Boston Road that we're having an issue with?
Yes, Cornerstone. It's right behind the strip mall.
Okay.
Where Mingles is and
Okay.
the fish market and all that. It's right behind us there.
Okay, great.
White Plains Road, as we all know, we have the bike lane issue. We met. The commissioner went with us to two. This is on. I didn't know if I said it was March 29th.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks ago. The commissioner met. He went with us there as well. We met on the corner of 217th and White Plains Road.
White Plains Road.
Right, 217 White Plains Road. Bike lanes on White Plains Road have been a constant source of frustration for both the residents and the merchants. White Plains Road was selected due to the unique nature of its bike lanes being the first under an L. There were some amendments we would have liked to see discussed, namely the angle parking, because many drivers are confused by the new orientations of the painted lines and are utilizing angular parking along White Plains Road, despite regulations not being so. The FDNY also joined us for a walkthrough, as their concern was that the bike lanes are interfering with them being able to, say, put out a structure fire on White Plains Road, because the bike lanes have pushed the parking lane over. Thus, they would have a problem with their ladder trucks trying to fight a fire using the ladder. Double parking is also an issue on White Plains Road. Consumers are utilizing such parking measures to patronize certain merchants as well. Commissioner Rodriguez stated that the bike lanes on White Plains Road are being expanded and that the DOT will look into possibly making some changes to the design of the bike lanes and the painted lines on White Plains Road, because the painted lines are very confusing. And people seem to think that because the lines are painted slanted, that they can park there on an angle parking. That's not what it's for. From what I was told on the walkthrough, those painted lines are fire zones. So my suggestion was to the DOT personnel, well, if it's a fire zone, why doesn't it say fire zone? But we all know that the biggest problem on White Plains Road is enforcement. There's no enforcement of parking regulations or anything on White Plains Road. So that's probably the biggest problem of it all. And that's my report for the walkthrough. Any questions?
Luke?
Sure, thanks. Clinton, you said that on Tillotson Avenue or street, that a certain portion would be demapped. Is that like a portion of the street so that the city would be able to turn it into a sidewalk?
Yes, that's the idea.
That's great. Thanks.
The idea because the bushes on Tillotson is it actually should be a street, but there's no street there. But
But
it's mapped as a street.
it's a paper street. Do they have that
Right.
big rock outcropping going on there that they're gonna have to remove? There's a big
Um,
rock.
well, you know, there's a sewage and drainage problem back there as well. Like there were
Okay.
some houses, there's some houses on Tillotson that they started to build, but just the foundation of the houses there, and they had to stop because of the sewage and the drainage problem back there. Because they said every time it rains, it floods terribly back there. So they had to stop building houses. So there's like maybe it's look like maybe 3 houses. There was a base built, but now there's nothing but trees and grass growing through it because they had to stop the building. Um, you know, DOT also has an area back there where they have granite slabs over there, which I didn't know. I saw the granite slabs there, but it's supposedly a DOT storage area.
Okay.
And
One,
it looks just
sorry.
as bad as everything else because it looks like somebody just stopped and dumped granite slabs there.
I'm
One
sorry
other,
if I could chime in. Sorry, my name is Teresa Cruz from the Bronx office for
Marissa.
DOT. Hi, I just wanted to clarify the reason they want to demap it is actually so somebody can develop that property and build the roadway plus 5 feet. That's why they're looking at a demap.
Okay,
Just
thank you.
wanted to clarify.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad you're here.
one other question, if I may. I think the last time that DOT came here, they said that they had initiated or they would initiate a school safety study for this area around the school. And they said that it would take about 60 days, I think. If my recollection serves me, it has passed 60 days. And if DOT is here, I'm curious if they have any update about that school safety study, if that's on topic. Thanks.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so I can, so two things. First is we never received the request, and that's what I had asked for at that meeting to go ahead and do a study. So that's first. And
One
then
thing,
second,
sorry. I think on the meeting, I actually asked explicitly whether the meeting itself would, and us asking on the meeting would serve as a formal request. I think DOT was able to confirm that that is enough to initiate a school safety study. So if that hasn't been the case, that's unfortunate.
yeah, if you want to go ahead and send me something, we could take a look at it. But my second point was we're actually doing some pedestrian crossings and like improvements at Bavona and Reeds Mill Lane, which is technically the next intersection. So I did want to let you guys know that we did send it to the community board as an improvement to try to help especially parents trying to get to the school. But yeah, if you want to send me something, then I can go ahead and take a look at that.
Okay.
I think Ursula has something to say.
Yeah, Darissa, I thought I sent it, but I'll double check tomorrow.
Please do, and I'll check as well,
All
but I don't recall receiving anything.
Miss Rodan, Mary, we can't hear you. You're muted.
Okay. Excuse me. I don't know if I'd be allowed to talk about the bike lanes because I have some things to say that have not been said in previous meetings. Can I address the bike lanes right
Yes.
now?
Yes, you can.
Thank you very much. My family bought industrial door and glass in the corner of 239th and White Plains Road in 1969. And actually it was 68, but across the street, they bought MGM Glass and Mirror in 1989. And so our family has been on White Plains Road for over 50 years. And I don't want to go into the disaster, which is these bike lanes, because a lot has been said, and I know I only have 3 minutes. But I was the secretary to the New York City Law Board in the early 80s, and I see happening in the Bronx the same thing I saw in Manhattan in the early 80s. It seems that there's now a push to gentrify the Bronx, get rid of manufacturing, which is what we have north of 238th Street, because we also have the lumber yard. And I know that Luke talked about deliveristas and how they could benefit from the bike lane, but there's an implication like Spanish-speaking people, benefit. But my brother, now the business is operated by my brother, employ about 30 people. Most of them are Spanish-speaking. They have really good jobs. They have health care. They have all sorts of benefits, workman's comp, etc. Most of them live in CB12. Not most, many of them. They like their jobs. They're losing their jobs because business is going way down. Not going to go over, like, you cannot be carrying out glass on a bicycle or by foot. I think this is very disturbing to me because it seems like it was pre-decided. It doesn't seem. We were told. I saw the meetings on March 9th. George Torres said, he said exactly, it is going to happen everywhere. It just so happens Community Board 12 is first, which might explain why we weren't even informed. There were no notices north of 238th Street. It doesn't work for north of 238th Street at all. I don't think it works for any White Plains Road, but certainly not north where you have manufacturing. It's mixed use. It's not only residential. Certainly north of 238th Street. And George Torres also said that the community board voted on this and it has to work. So it is incumbent upon the agencies to make it work because they're rolling it out to the rest of the city. What's the point of having community boards
Hold on a second. We're getting a lot
if
of
the community can't talk? And I have one more thing. I think I still have another minute. Vision Zero is about reducing fatalities on bicycles. There never had been bicycles on White Plains Road. So I don't know why there has to be a push to accommodate bicycles. There have not been bicycles on White Plains Road. There are plenty of places to bike. White Plains Road is not a good place to bike. So I think I've said all that I wanted to say, but I'm particularly concerned about just pushing it through, and this has going to have a very long-lasting, wide effect on businesses, community, taxes, and it needs to be reconsidered.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Okay. See, Q, you have your hand raised?
Hey, thank you so much, John. Sorry about my voice, guys. Allergies are kicking my butt today. I was at that walkthrough as well. I met with Commissioner Rodriguez. We spoke offline as well. And I think there's a few things I want to say, in terms of the community board, and I don't want anyone to take it personal. I think that, you guys doing what you do, it means a lot because no one's getting paid for this. You're volunteers. And living in the community over 30 years of my life, I've never had to get involved because, a lot of common sense decisions were always made. When it came to this, I feel like the Department of Transportation dressed it up and made it nice and like, oh, you guys have a double parking problem, let's fix it. And it just made things much worse. So, seeing men in the FDNY that literally came to me, I'm talking about deputy chiefs, borough chiefs coming to me and saying, thank you for being here and standing with us. They've been doing this job 30, 40 years, and they're saying it's a disaster for our community. Forget the businesses. And I told Commissioner Rodriguez, I know you guys don't care about us losing money. The data, quote unquote, is going to show that, it's better for businesses and more foot traffic and a whole bunch of nonsense. The North Bronx is a different type of area. So someone was speaking before, I forgot his name, saying that enforcement is the issue. Enforcement is not the issue on White Plains Road. Like, we have other areas where we can put bikes. I'm an avid bike rider. We need to get that done. And I spoke with the commissioner. I think Darissa, is it, from DOT? We need to know when the commissioner said he was going to meet with Councilman Riley's office and then the FDNY. He said he was going to meet with them. They actually, and what I'm going to say is that I'm very upset with the community board because the fire department presented a letter stating that they are in opposition of this. They don't agree with it. it's a disaster, and it's like no one ever, and the commissioner saying he never got it, he doesn't know. So it's like a whole big mess. So this narrative that, we voted on it and it's done. No, it's not done. We're going to keep bringing it up. We're going to keep moving forward. We're going to keep talking about it until something happens. I'm for the best interest of the community and the safety of the community. Higher response times within first responders is not for the safety of the community. I spoke with them about the islands. I spoke with the commissioner. I said, listen, I don't like these islands, but you know what? I've been here long enough to know how reckless people are when it comes to driving and trying to zip around people on White Plains Road. So people can complain all they like. Those islands are going to stay because they save lives. If it got to take me 5 minutes extra to get from 222nd to 233rd, I'm fine with that.
You have 20 seconds left.
With the last 20 seconds, I'm going to say the fact that first responders cannot get through, that is a problem. And every single person on the community board is responsible. Let's take care of this before, God forbid, a fatality happens. All of these sessions are recorded. Let's get it done.
Why are you upset with the community board?
Because I've heard comments like, oh, you should have came to the meetings. Oh, they want to complain now. Like, I have a family. I have children. I have so many things happening. I'm not a volunteer on the community board. I put trust and faith in the community board, living in this community for 30 years, that someone would be like myself. But now I see that I have to be involved to make it happen. No disrespect to anyone. There is not one person on the community board that has spoken with more people this year face to face than I have. I've literally spoken to over 1,000 people face to face, losing money, losing time from my busy schedule, not even telling them to disagree or agree. I'm like, what do you feel? What are you thinking? We have people on this community board. If you're going to be a volunteer, you need to, I know you're not getting paid and we appreciate your service, but we got to step it up, and I don't like and I've spoken with people who have said they're upset and they don't come to the meetings because people make statements like that. Oh, now they have a problem. Now they want to come. That's not nice. So moving forward, let's not address people who visit us for the first time as people who don't know what's happening. We send notices. They don't come. That's rude. And then people feel alienated. I'm a stubborn person, so you can say whatever you want to me. I'm going to show up every single meeting from now on. And if I have to get on the community board next year, a lot of people asked me to get on. I said, no, I want to see what happens. But if I have to get on next year, I will.
All right. Thanks.
John, let me answer that.
You're more than welcome to join the community board. You don't have to wait till next year.
John?
Yes, sir.
Let me answer that. First of all, the community board is only advisory. We can take a vote on something and it can be overruled by somebody else. And the commissioner you're talking about is so pro bicycle lanes. He's the one that pushed it through. He's pushing through bicycle lanes all over the city. So don't blame it on the community board who bust their butt to try to protect the community. I think you're outrageous what you said about the board. Yeah, we're volunteers. We do the best we can. But I will tell you something right now. That bike lane would have went in whether we approved it or not, because that's the directive of the mayor to the transportation commissioner to get it done. Thank you.
In response to that, is it a coincidence that one of the
No. Q.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Respond, John.
You haven't been called on. Your 3 minutes are up, sir. Sorry.
My only
we have to keep on moving along. We can't.
We gotta keep moving on. We gotta keep moving along. Madam Chair, you had your hand raised for a while.
Yeah, I just want to address Q because honestly, it's disheartening and borderline disrespectful and abusive because you're taking out your frustrations on the wrong people, right? And this happens often, and we see it happen often, which is why we get frustrated with community residents like yourself that come when you're upset about something and you speak in a manner that is disrespectful to all of us. And so I just want to address that. We're kind of fed up with that. We've been giving you the opportunity. We've asked you to join. We welcome you to join, to fight the good fight alongside with us. And so what we're not going to allow is this continued disrespect, Q. We appreciate your passion. We applaud you for that. but the people that you need to take this up with are the ones that you were walking with. And to Miss
Can I
Mary,
respond? I completely apologize for that, Ms. Chair. I was not trying to be disrespectful. I did take it up with the commissioner face to face.
let's
We
continue
spoke
that.
face to face.
Let's continue
The
that
only
then.
issue I have is that, like I said, the frustration comes to me with a lot of, other people that don't want to attend the community boards because they feel alienated.
Okay, let me ask you something. I let you speak.
Yes.
You said you were going to bring 1,000 people with you. Were they there with you?
I had a good 20, 30
You
people
let
that
me.
came.
You said 1,000 people were going to come there with you. Were they there with you?
The
So my
commissioner
point is,
changed. The
No.
commissioner
let me
changed
finish.
the
Q.
date. Okay.
Let me finish my thought. The point is, the same thing that you attempt, right, to have everybody come and speak is the same thing we do. We open up the space for that. They weren't there with you. And so what happens is, if you would have had the 1,000 people there that you said you had with you, it would have made that voice that you had would have been stronger. And so it would have been a better look. And so what I encourage you to do is to keep your passion, but bring those people to who needs to hear that, which is the commissioner. And I'm gonna end it there. And Mary, I appreciate you being here too, but honestly, this district is tired of manufacturing kind of type businesses. We do need additional kind of businesses as well. That's not the only thing that we want to see in this district, respectfully.
Sorry. It's manufacturing all over White Plains Road. I don't think so.
Well,
And
you mentioned that that's what this was, and you even read
it's
something that George.
manufacturing north of 238th Street.
Right, but
So
just so that you
can't there
understand,
be a
this
place for
district.
manufacturing too?
This district does want to see other things within our district, not just
Right, and
manufacturing
it's
businesses.
very little manufacturing, and you're pushing out the little manufacturing that there is.
We're
It is
not
a mixed
pushing it
use
out.
district.
We're trying to get the quality of life better for all of our residents, and that includes a lot of different things. And I'll end it there because I know John has a lot going on today. Thank you, John.
All right, thanks. Joey, just give everybody a chance to speak. Joey?
Okay, what Mary and Q said is very true. Okay, no offense to the community board, like they said, but the only thing is, you said that this was already pushed through. So us by going to you people was actually a waste of time. I mean, because you said that this was something the commissioner was pushing through no matter what we said. He doesn't care about the businesses. He doesn't care about what the fire department said, and we can't get a hold of the letters that he put out. And as far as safeties, half of us, we have manufacturing. We're in Mary's place, family places. This morning, we got to unload 2 tractor trailers in the middle of the street and watch the traffic. You call that safety? In the meantime, 2 or 3 bikes go by and they're on the sidewalk and stuff like that. There's more disadvantages to this than there is advantages. And the disadvantages outweigh it 100% and stuff like that. And why is the bicycles more important than the mom and pop businesses that pay the taxes over here? You know how much sales tax they're losing? Mary's business lost 35%. The people next door to me lost 35 to 40% because people won't go there anymore. They can't park and they get tickets. And as far as enforcing the laws, the more tickets you give people, the more they're not going to come around here. So, I mean, you got to make changes and stuff. And you got to listen to what the fire department says. Because if anything really happens, it's going to be somebody's butt they're going to go after.
All right, great.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Joey. Deborah? Deborah?
Can I say one more thing?
All right, go ahead, Joey.
Okay.
As far as
Hello.
the manufacturing, what are you doing? You're putting apartment buildings up. There's not enough parking for any of them. And then you add apartment buildings all over White Plains Road now? And stuff, and they just leave cars wherever they are. They don't even move them half of the times and stuff like that. But all right, I said my piece. I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay. Hello. Good evening, everyone. This is Deborah.
All right, Deborah.
I just wanted to say that as a member of the Community Board 12, I also grew up in that area. I've lived in that area for over 50 years. I have also worked in that area for New York City Transit for 30 years. And so my concern is with White Plains Road is that it's unsafe. God forbid, really, if there's ever an emergency and there's two buses on each opposite side of the street, north and southbound, you could never get an emergency car on the side when they build shelters. What is it? The platforms that extends to the sidewalk, and so you can't get around it or get past it. That's number one. That's my concern. And then the way they did the parking just does not make sense. And yes, people are losing businesses and money because it's not as walkable or friendly as it should be. And yes, we did have concerns about people double parking, but at the same time, it sounds kind of oxymoron that we are a community board and yet we don't really have no words to say. We don't really have a voice to say anything to the commissioner because they do what they want to do. So my question is, what is really our purpose here if we really can't make a change or do anything to help our community, because we live in the community. They're the outsiders, we're the insiders. So now if we can't have a voice and do something in our community, then please tell me what is the platform here, because I'm a little confused why I sit here on the board for Community Board 12. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Mike? And then Luke?
I just want to say, when I spoke about enforcement, I guess people have a problem with enforcement. I don't know why, if they're so concerned about fire trucks being able to get through. The enforcement problem comes in when there's angle parking, unassigned angle parking on White Plains Road. So if there's angle parking on White Plains Road and bike lanes, how are these fire trucks that everyone is so concerned about supposed to get through with angle parking, unauthorized angle parking? So enforcement is a problem. It's a huge problem. Thank you.
Great.
I'm sorry, can I say something else, John, to Deborah? Because Deborah, we are speaking. That's why we were there, to speak on behalf of the community board and the residents with the commissioner. So I'm confused as to what you're saying, that we don't speak on behalf of the board.
No, I didn't say we don't speak. What was said that the commissioner has the ultimate say what goes on, what goes there or not. So my
He
question is,
does. We can't make that decision. You know that, right, Deborah?
okay,
That we're only advisory.
I understand we're an
Advisory.
advisory, but I'm saying, what is, whatever. I just say we the people who live in the community.
But we want you to
And
be
it just,
here as part of our board. We do speak to, that's why we were there.
okay, so I understand we're the advisory, but my question is, if they still get the ultimate say who don't live in the community and the board agrees that this is unsafe for our community, then tell me, how does that work? I'm just saying, how does that work?
The thing
Can I-
is for
can I
the
jump
people in
in
the
on this?
community to come out and say something. Like I spoke to Q already. We need numbers out there when we meet with these people. If we don't have the numbers, then it says nothing.
Okay, John, let me just say this. I just want to jump in on this. Yes, we're an advisory group. And yes, other places have turned down this proposal of the bike lanes. But you got to remember something else, Q. You talk about those thousands of people or hundreds of people you had. Those people should have been there. Not only that, when all this stuff came up about the bike lanes and so forth, you should have been.
19 or 20.
Huh?
Can whoever's not speaking, can you mute yourself, please? Thank you. If you're not speaking.
They should have been there. That's how things are being pushed through on other communities and other community boards. because they have the support of their constituents and their neighbors coming to the board and supporting what's going on in the process.
Yeah.
We don't get that here at Community Board 12. All we get is the complaints, the nastiness towards the board, and that's it. That's all we have. Once this goes away, we will never see any of you again because you feel that you've been satisfied or vindictive, or you say, oh, we ain't do nothing. This is the way this community has worked for years, and I've been here for about 40, 50 years. This is the way this community operates. You all are upset now because of the bike lanes, but there have been other incidents and things that we've had in this district that affected a lot of you, and not one of you have ever shown up to any meeting, committee or board-wise, to issue their complaints. The only time I see people coming out in groups are the people from Katona Avenue. They come in busloads. On this side of the fence, you don't see a darn not one bus. Not even 10 people will come to a meeting to protest. Not one. But you make us the underdog in this situation because of these bike lanes. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I did not agree with the bike lanes. I thought it was a hazard. There was not a sufficient number of people riding bikes up and down White Plains Road to warrant a bike lane. But yet, unfortunately, the city decides that this is the plan I have for the new mayor that came in. The new mayor wants bike lanes all over the city of New York. So everybody's gonna have to roll under and go with this plan until the next mayor comes in and the next administration comes in, and maybe there'll be a change. But until then, unfortunately, people relive and understand this is the way of the world in the city of New York. And if you all don't come out and do what you say you're doing now, show up to board meetings, show up to committee meetings, listen to the concerns that we have, and support us when we have a process of saying no or yes to a situation, no matter what the project is. It doesn't have to concern you. But if you're part of this community, whether you work here or you live here, you should be having yourself vested in here and not a temporary vesting of interest because this is close and dear to your heart. That's it. Thank you.
All right, great. Look, we're gonna change to another topic in a little while because
Thanks. It's unfortunate that we have to relitigate the White Plains Road bike lane when it's very obviously one of the only protected street infrastructure that people have riding bikes in the neighborhood. I was on White Plains Road talking to people yesterday about Sammy's Law, which is allowing New York City to set its own speed limits. And I asked people about their tendencies to ride bikes, and it's really unfortunate because you talk to kids around nowadays, and they don't even their parents don't feel safe to let them play outside anymore because the streets are so unsafe. And the reason the streets are so unsafe is because as you know, just American society has created a tendency to push people in their vehicles, and the vehicles get bigger, scarier, heavier, and more lethal. It's if you get hit by a SUV, you're way more likely to have a serious fatality or a serious injury or a fatality compared to getting hit by a sedan or a smaller car. So that's what this has to be. We're fighting against. We're fighting against an epidemic of traffic violence. Last year in 2022, more children were killed on New York City streets than ever before. This is a problem. The Bronx has the highest rates of traffic injuries, and it also has the fewest amount of protected bike lanes. Bike lanes, love them or hate them, they organize traffic in a way if they're enforced properly. And what we're seeing on White Plains Road is that they're not being enforced. I'm so glad that Clinton brought up the angled parking. This is something that when this bike lane came in, we brought to DOT's attention. DOT came back to us saying that, oh, this is per specification, they're allowed to be striped this wide, but it's really misleading for people who pull into these spaces thinking that they're angled parking. So we definitely need to do something about that. But at the end of the day, this is a safety thing. We also need to use this as an opportunity to rethink how we use these corridors for the future. I mean, we're looking at a society that is changing the way we move. Transportation is the #1 source of carbon emissions, which is leading us to a hotter and hotter planet. It's 80 something degrees out, and we need to find ways to sustainably move around. And our trains, our buses, our bikes, e-scooters, these are ways in which we do that. And younger people, they're moving towards these ways because they're more affordable. Buying a car or leasing a car now is nearly as much as renting an apartment. And that's for people my age who can't even afford to pay a mortgage, and home ownership has been phased out for us. We're looking to smaller modes of transportation. So this is a reality to protect our kids. New York City has a legal obligation to do this under the streets plan. And lastly, I think it's really unfortunate too that some of these partner sister agencies like FDNY are coming out apparently against the bike lanes when they are Vision Zero priority, Vision Zero partners that the city has. So I think if FDNY is saying that they're against bike lanes, we really need to go write a letter to the commissioner to say, hey, you're required to be on board with Vision Zero. What's the matter? And frankly, a lot of our city agencies aren't respecting our safety infrastructure. If you look at the firehouse on White Plains Road, it's constantly parked. They park all of their vehicles and encourage everybody along White Plains Road, just south of Gun Hill Road, to do the same. And this isn't helpful for anyone. It's really dangerous to walk across the street nowadays. Ghost cars. I see cars all the time with temporary plates that don't look legal at all, tinted windows. We have an epidemic of traffic injuries and other matters that aren't being enforced, and we need to call on our agencies to enforce them. One last thing, White Plains Road, some of the most revenue generating traffic is pedestrian traffic. You're getting the most traffic from the buses and the trains. We need to visualize White Plains Road as a vendor and pedestrian paradise. There's a lot of unused space underneath the elevated train that could, in a long-term kind of vision kind of way, could be used as a vendor area to support the thriving foot traffic culture that we have on White Plains Road. Thanks so much.
Sorry, Dorissa, and then Joey. I was muted.
Okay, I just wanted to address the FDNY issue as well as like the angle parking and everything else. So first of all, FDNY, we are working with them. We did part of the reason the angle space the what's considered angle parking, which is just markings, is so wide is because it was to accommodate their access to the curb and access to any sort of housing or residential or any sort of fire situation. And that came about as a part of the result to the letter that they had originally sent. So we did respond and we made the spaces wider. We did take a little bit more parking in order to do so. We are currently evaluating if we can make changes to those markings because we understand that it's maybe not clear that that's what it's supposed to be for. It's supposed to be for FDNY access. As Clinton mentioned, the community board requested that it's a fire zone so that it's a little bit more clear. And we are always happy to meet with any business or anyone along White Plains Road to talk about your issues and see what we can do to address them.
Yeah,
So
Dorissa. So probably we could go and meet with those businesses on 238 and 239 Street, which is Joey and MGM Glass, because they're and also the funeral home on 226.
Sure. If you guys want to figure out a time that works for you, a time and a date, just send it to me and we're happy to go out there.
Okay.
All right.
What's your, where do I
Dorissa,
send
you could put your information in the
Where do you
chat.
send it?
Sure.
Thanks.
Hey, John, could I just get 30 seconds, please? Let's cue.
Yeah, you can have 30 seconds, Q.
Hey, yeah, so I just wanted to apologize. I was not attempting to disrespect anybody. When I speak, I'm extremely passionate. The frustration comes in when I feel, as a board, everyone is, not on the same page. And I did, people are talking about 1,000 people. It's hard to get anyone to do anything, but we did have a good 50 plus people out there. There was a good amount of people that I spoke with. I reached out to a lot of people. I can't literally force them to come. And the people who did come, they expressed their frustration. I guess if it seemed like I was frustrated, it's just that, hey, this is what it is and it's done. And we can't do anything about it. And for me, I've never been a person to just, that's good enough. Miss, I believe Benitez, thank you so much, for what you said. Thanks for your experience, being on here for a very long time. I will be more careful how I choose to communicate moving forward. But like I said, I really want to be on record that, hopefully we can do something before, God forbid, something bad happens in our community. But I apologize. I did not, mean to disrespect the board. If anyone took that as disrespect, and yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
All right, thanks, Q. Joey?
Number one, we understand that there was a letter sent to the commissioner from the fire department. And were we able to get a copy of the letter? And why was the bike lanes? Who decides if they go on the left or the right of the street? If they were put on the left on White Plains Road, it wouldn't have affected anything. I mean, you go to Baychester Avenue, they're on the left. You go a lot of streets, they're on the left, where there's residential. Where they put the businesses, they put them on the right. They knew they couldn't, I can't believe they didn't realize that would affect businesses. And people can't be riding bikes. You got 2 or 3 kids. You can't have bicycles or 2 or 3 bikes and having the kids. And then you can't leave the bikes outside. You got to chain them to something and stuff like that. And there isn't enough bike traffic to warrant all this. But if they had them on the left side, it wouldn't have affected anything. And stuff. And there's going to be a problem with plowing, with snow, with sanitation. Because sanitation told us they don't know how they're going to plow this.
Joey and Mary, Darissa is gonna come out and meet with you guys and look. I think they're gonna have to look at this.
How do we get in touch with her?
Specific stores, yes.
We got
I
it.
put my information in the chat. You guys can send me an email,
Yeah,
or
thank
I
you.
could put my phone number as well if that's easier.
All right.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
But I mean, I still don't understand who figures out left or right though.
That's
I
the
mean,
engineers. The engineers at DOT, Joey.
Okay. They should come and spend a week with us.
That's what they're gonna do. Darissa is gonna come out and work on it with you.
Okay, Marissa, thank you.
All right. You probably want to give Darissa a call too, and get out there. Okay. Look.
I said my piece,
Yeah.
but
No. This is we're on to other things. So Gun Hill Road. We want to look at that intersection at Gun Hill Road, um, Gun Hill and Boston Road, and there were issues with people crossing over there. We wanted us as a board or as a committee, we want to go out and areas where there are problems, we want to highlight it and bring it to DOT and let them know that we're uncomfortable with, this area or that area. They're trying their best. They're gonna be doing bus lanes to have the buses move faster to Montefiore and stuff like that. But we have to do our part too and highlight areas that we want them to take a look at.
they do have
John?
Yes,
sorry.
sir.
Yeah. I just want to say something. When they came out, and presented the bus lanes on Gun Hill Road, my big issue was where all the additional people now have to cross Gun Hill Road at Boston Road when they changed from the 30 to get a bus up Boston, from the 2838 to the 30 on Boston Road because it was taken over Gun Hill, created at least another 300 to 400, maybe 500 people crossing that intersection who never had to do it before. And that's going eastbound where the vegetable store is, the African vegetable store.
Okay.
And that is the most dangerous crossing anywhere along Gun Hill Road, even worse than Bainbridge and Gun Hill.
Okay.
And because now you have a lot of kids coming from the Evander Childs complex, and you got senior citizens and others who had to go change buses to go to the hospital, crossing that street when they didn't have to do it. MTA has a big responsibility, and the issue of the increased pedestrian crossings at Boston Road from eastbound to northbound Boston, from eastbound Gun Hill to northbound Boston Road. And we asked them to take a look at it again, see how many people transfer. And I'm going to tell you, they're going to wait for school to close, and then they're going to go out and take a count. And when you lose 200 or 300 school kids, well, they say, oh, it's not that bad. We asked them to have, in a busy week, school's coming to a close in another, I guess, 2 months. And I'm sure they won't get out here because you have to stand there and watch the dangerous conditions with people crossing an intersection. You're 100% correct. That is so dangerous, that intersection. It is unbelievable. And they made it more dangerous by the stupid removal of the BX30 from Gun Hill Road, sending it down Boston Road, which already had a bus service on it.
Paul, my problem is when other communities complain about stuff, they get results. And it seemed like when we complain about stuff, we just like, everything is so passive about with our results. We're not
Yeah.
getting any results.
No, like I told you, John, when we sent that letter, I said when it gets to the MTA, they're going to put it in file 13. And I'm sure that's what they did,
All right.
which is a garbage can. They have no respect.
All right. So what I'm thinking is I want to like set up one evening where we could like actually go out there and like take a look at it. Um, I want to visually see what's going on. Probably even make a video of what's going on out there.
No, I agree with that. I really do.
Because
And,
by someone
the,
saying something to me, I don't take the bus, or I don't cross Gun Hill Road over there. I come straight up on the 5 train, so I have no idea what's going on the other side of the world. So I want to actually go over there and take a look at it.
I will tell you, it's always been dangerous because there's limited parking for the vegetable stand over there. And so, and it's a very busy place because they got a lot of Caribbean foods there where you can't get any place else. And I do shop in there because my wife comes from the Caribbean, and I never find parking over there. And I see people already double and triple park. There's like a half a lane going eastbound because of the people parking the way they park. And never see an enforcement agent and over there either. So yeah, something has to be done at that intersection.
Great.
And they talk about, Q talked about businesses, and this is one business that depends on vehicle traffic, and there's no place for the cars to park.
All right, Luke, you said you have you want to share your screen? Okay.
Sure, just a second. Okay. All right, can you see the screen share?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the proposed the thing that they presented to us on March 9th for the bus and pedestrian improvements. They've included this curb extension. So what's going to be really critical here is that they harden this the perimeter with some kind of thing that will deter people from making a quick angled turn. Um, and because what we see a lot of times when DOT kind of goes out on the street, they'll paint, a bike lane or they'll paint a pedestrian area. But if, a car can just roll over paint. And so if we're expecting people to stop here, we need to make sure that, and I know DOT's here on the call, when this project goes in, that we have actual physical protection. But yeah, this is not sufficient. This is still a really big distance. This is a big distance. We've got a lot of vehicular traffic, and Boston Road is a Vision Zero priority corridor. This section was named, I think, in 2015, meaning that it's identified as one of the most dangerous corridors in the Bronx. And so really DOT needs to come back to us with a proposal to make Boston Road safer. And that could include pedestrian islands like they have, in some areas of the city where they've got tree lined a strip in the middle of the road, and that helps create areas where pedestrians can walk. It's a refuge because some of the crossing distances on Boston Road are really wide. It takes a long time to cross, and if you're using a walker or wheelchair, it's very intimidating. So I hope DOT takes the message that we need somebody to come back and talk to us, give us a proposal
No,
to
they're
talk
gonna
about.
come back. They're gonna come back.
Okay,
This
great,
this is a work in progress with them. They've been
definitely.
working
Okay,
on this for years.
yeah, I hope so. Thank you.
All right, great. Deborah.
Yes, I have a question. How do we go about to get a traffic light on 212 and Laconia? Because the speed and the accidents, they have ran into our building maybe 6 times between 2021, 2022, and recently they just ran into our whole yard and tore up the yard, the firebox. So how can we get a light or something there?
Well, we have to request a traffic study, and
Mm-hmm.
we have to formally. So we need to probably have a map with pictures and everything. Probably even a video showing what's going on out there, and then
I can send personal videos because they're speeding. They keep running into the building. This is the 6th time they ran into our building.
well, the problem in this whole neighborhood is speeding, and that's why everyone gets upset about the traffic calming, like the stuff we did on Baychester, the stuff we did on 233rd. This was all meant to slow down the traffic. In the night when we're sleeping, there are so many accidents that happen and fatalities out there that we don't even know about it. When we come out, we might see a pole that's knocked down or a car crashed, but someone probably died out there. All right.
Deborah, it could be done though. It happened on 215 and Laconia.
Yeah.
We did have we had a traffic light installed there too. But 311 and Ursula, between the two, we can make it happen. So I would say reach out to Ursula tomorrow morning as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because it seems like it's the
Beatrice,
racetrack. I'm sorry. It seems
I
like
was
it's
just
the
going to say,
racetrack
bear in
from.
mind,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry, bear in mind, there's already a traffic light at 213 and Laconia.
But I know where Deborah's talking. I saw that. They were like, I think an accident just happened like a few days ago, right? Deborah?
but
I'm sorry, I was on mute. They just came Saturday morning. They ran over the firebox. They tore up our whole yard. I'm just saying, last year, 3 times they ran into our building. So I'm just saying, it's between Gun Hill Road to 214. It seems like it's a racetrack, and the blind spot is 212 coming out from Boston Road, 212. It seems like it's a blind spot because from off of Gun Hill Road, it goes into like a little curve, and then coming down, I don't know. It just seems like something must be blinded there because it seems to be an accident. Yes, speed is a factor, but it's happening too often now. And so I'm just afraid they're just going to come all the way inside the building, and it's going to be a bad fatality.
Yeah. All right, great. Luke Mark. I see you, Miss Benitez.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Isaac. Actually, I cannot remember the first time I attended this meeting was the the thing I raised was about the 30 bus being diverted from Gun Hill Road. And we brought it again this evening. They're whatever trying to be done, they're trying to do over there to help traffic people crossing from 28, 38 back to the 30 bus. And, I mean, this is a good project, things getting done, but what's a simple thing being done, putting the 30 back on that route? Why
We've
don't we do
asked
that?
for,
That's a very simple thing that can be done. In the morning, I have to get to work late because I have to get up the 30 and wait for the 28 or the 38. Coming back, I have to cross that place you're talking about right now. So we are talking about all the fancy things that we want to do at that at that corner. The simple thing to do is to bring back 30 bus. You want to run it a limited rides in the morning and the evening, whatever needs to be done. That's going to be the simple solution. Let us make a simple thing complicated, please. Whoever is responsible to put it back, how do we get to such a person? How do we get to them to understand? Or let them come in the morning and see how people are coming out of the buses to wait for the other buses to connect, or come back in the afternoon to see what's going on. They're not here, as we rightly said. They don't live here. They don't take those buses. They don't live with us. But they want us to do these things. They bring these things upon us. How can we get them to see the need to bring this bus back on the original route? Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
can I answer that, John?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we asked numerous times to restore it, and they completely ignore us. And that's because they don't pay attention to any. If you live in the North Bronx, you're dirt to them. All right? And we told them not to move it to Boston Road all the way down to Pelham Parkway because it already duplicated another service that is provided by Westchester County. They just wanted to take the bus off Glen Hill Road to say travel time is a lot faster now. But like I said in my previous statement, it inconveniences hundreds of people, both senior citizens, people going to work, and students who go to the Evander Charles complex. They do not give a damn about this community.
Okay.
And we did write letters, and like I said, they probably went into file 13, which is the garbage pail. We're going to have to put a little more pressure. I think we should write John Oliva, who was the president of the MTA. Maybe we'll get better action than sending it to the Transit Authority.
All right, we got to work on that call.
Yes,
Nothing
we
is
will.
nothing is being done. You know. All right, thanks. Ms. Benitez.
John, I don't know if you all talked about this earlier or in other meetings, but when I did a walkthrough with the Commissioner for Small Business, he mentioned or reminded us, and he mentioned to the business owners along that corridor that Gun Hill Road will now have a single lane specifically for buses.
Yes.
Yeah, you did. Okay, so of course, business owners, just like the owners on White Plains Road, were very concerned because of the fact that people
Ms.
that.
Benitez, we can't hear you well. Ted, can you please mute yourself?
Sorry.
No, we want to
Sorry.
hear what you're saying. Ted, can you please mute yourself?
Ted. Okay.
Just like the business owners on White Plains Road, Gun Hill Road people, business people were also very concerned because of the fact that a lot of their businesses goes in and out, takeouts. And they were you could see the worry on their face that it was like being scared because of the fact that they know they're going to lose business because of the fact that now we're going to have a 2-lane traffic with express lanes for the buses. And that's, of course, they say it's because it's going to smooth out this and speed up the time for the buses. But I mean, as I said before, this administration, we're not Manhattan. Manhattan, you could practically almost do it down there because you have the space to have this kind of corridors. and it works for them down here. Up here, we've got nooks and crannies all along most of our main highways, except for maybe Boston Road, because that's a national roadway. It goes from downtown Manhattan all the way up to Boston.
Actually goes to Florida.
Oh, sorry, okay, Florida. Well, but you still have nooks and crannies because you got to go in and out before you get back on one again. But but the point is, we're not like Manhattan where you can look at a grid map and it's straight lines for all of this kind of traffic. The same thing with the bike lanes. I mean, I would go down to Manhattan and I never mind car traffic. I've got to look out for bike traffic down there. When you cross the street, you're crossing the street twice. One for cars and one for bicycles. Up here, it's not as heavy. So I mean, what's good for Manhattan might not necessarily be good for the Bronx or Queens or even Brooklyn. And that's why they're using White Plains Road as a guinea pig for this bike lane program. That's why they're using us. They want to say, if we can work it out up here in the Bronx, we could put this in Brooklyn, which is just as bad as us, and parts of Queens where they do have certain parts of elevated areas. So this is how it's working. But I am concerned about Gun Hill, because when they accumulate at Gun Hill and White Plains Road, what the heck is going to happen with all these buses backing up because they say they're speeding through, and you still got backup? Because once you pass White Plains Road and go over the Bronx River Parkway, you're still going to be backed up.
Yeah.
There's no logic to the way people are planning things for their communities. The designers are not thinking. They're not thinking at all. Thank you.
Joey and then Ted. Joey? All right, Ted, go ahead. Joey, we can't hear you.
Hi, John. Hey, John.
Hey, Ted.
Regarding the bus lane on Gun Hill Road, I'm not sure if Ms. Benitez was saying that this is not a good plan, but I know I've expressed that before. But the question is, someone said earlier about the board, basically coming to, unified decision on some of these issues. The question is, where do we stand on this as a board? Because, as I said, just like the bike lanes, with this one, to have high priority buses on Gun Hill Road, which is only 2 lanes either way, and you're going to take out 1 lane, I see that as being a major problem. And again, I want to register my position on this, that this is not something that I support. Thank you.
Ted, have you driven in Brooklyn and other places and see it work?
Of course, I've driven in other places, but I can't say for a fact that it works. And I think, Gun Hill Road has particular challenges. I know they talk about doing this in like 3 phases, and nobody has yet to address that, the middle section, which is right in between by the Bronx River Parkway. But, it's already a problem ever since they put that light at Gun Hill Road and White Plains Road, if you're making a right turn. And it's just going to get a lot worse than that.
All right.
There's one answer to the major part where the major problem is going to be is between Bainbridge and Webster, and that's not our community board. That's the responsibility of Board 7. So,
and that's a
Bronx
River. That's a Bronx River connection.
Yes. So that belongs to Board 7. It doesn't belong to Board 12.
And on Gun Hill Road, we actually have 3 lanes. If you look at it, right, it's a parking lane and 2 travel lanes on each side.
That's correct. You'll wind up with one travel line,
Yeah,
lane.
and with 1 travel lane, and then actually the bus lane is actually a turning lane too.
Yes, it is.
And also to answer
Yeah, no.
Luke put in the chat call. Sorry for cutting you off. That about the cameras. If they put cameras out there because a couple of my drivers were in Flushing and they got tickets out there. If you drive too long in the bus lane and you don't turn, you will get a ticket.
Oh yeah, they have them on Pelham Parkway too.
Yeah.
So they'll ticket you for driving in the bus lane, but if you're double parked and blocking the bus lane, you're not able to get a ticket. So state law prevents those bus-mounted cameras from ticketing double
That's
parked
changing,
cars.
Luke. That's changing.
Yeah, I hope it does. I hope it does with this new budget.
Yeah, because I thought they were doing it already, because that's when they first brought out the cameras, they said they were going to pick up on the people who do the parking in the bus stops and so forth. And if the bus rolled in, they were supposed to be taking pictures of those cars parked there.
Yes,
That's correct.
you're 100% right. It's
Yeah.
driving in the bus lane and it's parking in the bus stop. But if you're double parked in the bus lane outside of the bus stop, New York State hasn't given the MTA the authority to issue a ticket there. Or if you're doing a U-turn through through the bus lane. So I'll put an article in the chat.
Yeah.
Well,
So here's another loop.
Look, I just want to tell you something. When I was on the job working for transit, I used to issue summonses all the time for people parked in the bus lane.
Yeah, traffic agents can definitely issue the tickets, but the bus mounted cameras are more efficient because they don't have the human error or, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Cole, you see all the problems we're having with, say, Doria Avenue? If we put signs up that say limited commercial traffic, unless you're making a delivery, and within that area, it will cut down on a lot of the stuff that's going on.
John, what you do is put up a sign, like I have on my block where I live, no through traffic. In other words, you only go in the street
If you
when you have to, if you live on the street. All over Woodlawn, we have these streets that say no through traffic.
Yeah, and also, but if you don't enforce it, then it becomes a
Wow.
tip. That's
Everything you need enforcement for everything. And number one, the police, the way the crime is in the city, are more busy responding to criminal acts, and the agents, the traffic agents who walk down the street to give you summonses for parking, cannot issue moving violations. They're not allowed to issue a moving violation. They're only allowed to issue parking violations.
Okay.
Because they're traffic enforcement. There are agents, like they work the intersection and stuff, have the right to issue summonses, but they're too busy directing traffic at the intersection. So how are they going to be issuing a summons? So yes, the traffic enforcement agent should be able to give moving violations. And the violation they give, like when somebody's double parked, they give them, $185 fine or whatever the fine is now. But there's a stronger violation, and which traffic enforcement can issue, only PD can issue, is obstruction of traffic, and that puts 2 points on your license.
All right.
So,
thanks. Ms. Benitez, I'm gonna come to you in a second. I think Joey had his hand raised for a while.
Yeah.
Joey,
Okay, I'll make
let me ask you a question, Joey. Did you get all the information out of the chat?
Yes.
I wrote it
Also,
down.
And also,
I
Mr.
did-
Soto put his number in there too.
Yes, I got that too. And
Okay.
his phone number. And his
Also,
email.
there's one thing I did notice, only I noticed it. I'm not speaking for anybody else. A lot of people that ride bikes, They don't pay attention to signs or traffic signs or anything. They just ride. They just shoot right across the street without stopping, without anything and stuff like that. That's another thing I did notice too. They'll be riding on the sidewalk and they'll go past 239th Street, not even look, just drive right, just pedal right across and stuff like that.
Education.
Yes.
No, that's something that.
Or they rather run you down than stop.
Stop. That's it.
Yeah. All right.
I thank you.
Ms.
You
Benitez.
have all the information and you've been very helpful.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
And we appreciate what the board does. Sorry that our commissioner of the DOT has his own ways of doing things and is fixed in his ways, which he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
He should look at the reality of this and take a bit, and see what's going on and stuff like that. I mean, I understand where he comes from, but we're on the Bronx and White Plains Road. It's not the same and stuff like that.
I know.
Joey and Joey, I want to respond to Joey. Joey,
yes,
you got to realize something. The head may change, but the body does not change. Those people who do the legwork and so forth, they are the ones that pass it up to the commissioner. And we have to remember that the head may change and maybe part of the shoulder may change, but the rest of the body doesn't change. And they've been in this business long enough to understand. And yes, I understand we have new people coming in, so they need to be schooled in how things are done with the community, and not just think that what you learn in school can be applied out in the real world. Now, going back, John, in reference to, we're talking about policing, enforcement. John, why can't we have a joint committee with your group and
Public safety?
Yes, because we have serious
everything we're doing, Ms. Benitez, is tied in. You see, the transportation on White Plains Road is affecting the businesses, which comes into your committee, and it's all linked.
Yeah, but more concerned with the safety issue and your.
Yeah, the safety is a big thing. Probably we need to get the fire department here.
That too. You can do that with you and Alfredo. Think about it.
Okay. All right, great. That's one of the things I'm gonna speak to him about when I see him. It seems like I've actually worked for the planning department in Westchester County for years, and whenever the folks up there say no, it's no. If they don't want something in their community, no. If they don't want a shelter in their community, no. And it seemed like whenever we say no here, it's it's the opposite. And I think we just need to get together, work as one, and overcome all of the problems that we're having. I mean, I was reading the other day, they were talking about they were going to put a UPS facility in Yonkers, and the people said no, right? And there's no facility going there. And
Well, they got one on Tuckahoe Road.
Yeah. And then, but Carl, it seemed like whenever we say no here, they go with their high price lawyers downtown, and then they come back and they're all smiling. You remember that church over by we told them no because their property was so small and all that stuff. They went downtown and they did whatever they wanted to do. So
you see, the point is, John, every time they have a charter revision that concerns the community board, it weakens the board. This 6-year limitation on board members is the worst thing that could ever happen, because this one a new member becomes seasoned and understands what's going on, they're knocked off the board. At one time, the board was very powerful, but every time they have a charter revision, they take power away from the board because the elected officials do not like the community boards.
Yeah. Like that affordable housing that everyone was so up in arms about. They wanted to put all these units with 12 parking spaces or something. What happened to all the people on Richardson Avenue? What happened to all the people that live right back there? You're gonna affect their quality of life also. If we put these 30, 40 units of affordable housing, so
No, you're right. You're right.
and that's just my biggest concern. I'm seeing it happening all over the place. Long Island City, all these different places. It's changing, but is it changing? It's I don't know. I really don't know.
Like the one we turned down on White Plains Road because there wasn't enough parking.
That's the one I'm
And
talking about.
yeah, no, and we were chewed out by our district manager as anti housing. And it went downtown and it was improved. But yeah, the only reason they can build it with very little parking or no parking is because it's adjacent to a transit line. And any idiot that thinks that people are not gonna have a car that lives in that building, just out of their mind. How are they gonna go anywhere else? They're not gonna. You can't take the subway to Cross County. You can't take the subway to here. You can't take the bus to there. If people have a car, and if they have 3 people in the family, there's going to be 3 cars there. But you can't convince the powers to be that's the facts of life. I don't care how close you build it to a rapid transit line.
Yeah. So, all right. So, anyone have anything else? Joey, you good?
We're good, thank you.
Ted, I'm gonna lower your hands. Ted, you good? So I guess he's good. Deborah, you good? Your hand is still raised. All right. I guess that's it for tonight, folks. 8:30.
So I'll make a motion, John, so we can close the meeting. I make a motion that the meeting be closed.
Yes, sir.
Any second?
Second, Clinton.
Okay, so
So
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
It's been-
so we're done. John.
all right, great.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Have a blessed night.
Everyone.
All right.
Enjoy the nice weather.
All right.
Thank you.
Awesome meeting, John. Everybody have a good night.
All right. Thanks.
Roger,
Beatrice. Beatrice?
Roger.